Hi, this is Dr. Jim Vermillier from Cognitive Behavior Therapy Associates, again talking to you today about kind of consistency in terms of how we act towards ourselves and other people. Consistency is something that we examine because we want to be able to predict how things are going to be happening in the world. All of us want to have control over our lives, and part of that is trying to anticipate what's going to be happening. So I want to start out with an example. Let's say that you get a telephone call and a friend of yours says, "Hey, I'd like to go out to the movies. Would you like to come?" And you say, "Sure." And they say, "All right, well, I'll pick you up, Monday night at 7 o'clock. So you get yourself ready after work, perhaps you take a shower, put on, some clothes, and get, yourself ready and get near the door so that you can, go out because this friend's picking you up. And you wait, and you wait, and you wait, and they don't come. So it becomes 7:30, then 8 o'clock, and there isn't a call, and you start to worry. Start worrying about, first whether or not they were in traffic, and got, stuck, and then, when there's no call and it gets to be 8 o'clock, you start worrying about whether or not they got in an accident, and so on. Eventually you give up, get changed, go to sleep, and you wake up the next day, and you get a telephone call from your friend at work, and the friend says, "Gee, I'm really, really sorry about last night. I got involved in a car accident. It was a minor one, but, I didn't have my cell phone with me. They had to tow the car, and, they've fixed it now. I've got it back. It was really not as major as I thought, but I'm really, really sorry that I missed our date last night for the movie." So most people are going to think, okay, well, they've got a reasonable explanation, so I'm okay with that. I'm kind of peeved that I spent that time waiting for them, but maybe they couldn't help it. But in our example, the person now asks you, can we go out to the movie again Thursday night instead of Monday because I missed picking you up. The movie's still on, and I'm really sorry, and I'll pick you up Thursday night. So most people would say, yes, I'll do that, and I'll be ready at 7. I'll look forward to seeing you. And, when that day comes, and 7 o'clock passes, and 7:30 passes, and 8 o'clock passes, the person is now, you're not feeling too good about whether or not your friend's going to show up. And again, you're probably starting to wonder about what happened to them and perhaps feeling angry. So eventually you give up and you go to bed, and you get a call the next day, and the friend says, "Hey, I'm really sorry. I know that I missed you Monday, and last night, I forgot to bring my cell phone. I got out of work late. I forgot about it." Any of a million different things that they might say. And what are you starting to think now? You're probably thinking that this person is not reliable. So if they ask you again, will you go out with me on Friday or Saturday night to go see a movie, you may find yourself being not inclined to do that. So, one of the lessons I think that we can draw from this is that it doesn't take that long for us to start to identify inconsistencies in other people and kind of lose faith in whether or not they're going to follow through with what they say they are. I'd like to make a little leap here, though, before we go on, and transfer that over to an example about ourselves as well. And that's the idea that when you make promises to yourself, if you don't keep them, eventually you're going to start to feel like you did at the door waiting for your friend at the movies. If you promise yourself that you're going to do something and you don't follow through, you're losing kind of confidence in your own ability to make promises to yourself. It's a self-relationship. If you don't believe that you're going to follow through on what you say, then you don't have much faith in doing what you're going to be, what you're saying that you're going to do. So let's go back to our example for a second, and then we'll come back to us. Now, a month passes, and this friend calls you up and says, "You know what? I'm sorry. I stood you up 3 times, and the reason I did that was totally inexcusable. but I'd really like to get back in your good graces, and I'd like to take you out to a movie and dinner. It's going to be my treat, and I know that you might not think that I'm going to follow through with this because there were 3 times that I didn't, but how can I show you that I'm going to follow through? How can I become your friend again? Think about that for a minute. How could that person become your friend again? Would you want to just make plans with them and hope that they're going to show up because they didn't 3 times before? They kind of misled you or lied to you a few times there. So, what kinds of things would you need to see? What would they have to do in order for you to really start to believe that, hey, this is somebody that I can depend on and somebody whose word is good? And now let's transfer ourselves back to our own example and kind of within ourselves. And, if you've been kind of not honest with yourself and you've been promising yourself things and telling yourself that you're going to go to the gym and telling yourself you're going to lose weight, telling yourself that, you need to stop drinking, telling yourself that, any of a million things, and promising, the kids and promising people that you're going to do that, and promising yourself, eventually you don't believe yourself. So, the point of this is to say that you have to be able to plan out a strategy of how you are going to regain credibility with yourself and with other people in order to really make that work. So, something to think about. How can you really try to become best friends with yourself again and be able to trust that what you say you're actually going to do? How can you rebuild credibility with friends or with family who you may have deceived in some way or may have just not been consistent with? So, some food for thought. And again, this is part of what we do in cognitive therapy. And I hope you enjoyed today's discussion about our relationship with ourselves and other people.